If a man knows not to which port he sails, then no wind is favorable. That is one of my favorite quotes from Seneca. And the essence of that quote is, without having goals in mind, you're sort of just wandering aimlessly. Like, even if you get a really strong tailwind, you're not necessarily going in the direction you want to go. You're not going to be able to take advantage of opportunities when they arise for you if you don't know where you want to be going. And in this video, we're not necessarily talking about goals themselves, but rather we're talking about direction on a more fundamental level. So what is your life philosophy? What are the first principles that you live your life by? And this is very important. Even if you don't have a clear set of goals and ambitions, your first principles are kind of like the compass that is going to help you decide where it is that you want to be going. Now, what are first principles? Your first principles are not your goals and ambitions themselves. Rather, they're the foundation that your goals rest upon. They're the reason behind your goals and ambitions. So if you feel like you want to be more engaged with life, you want to live life with a more aligned purpose, or maybe you just want to be more confident about yourself and what you stand for, it's very important to understand what your first principles are. So what are some questions you can ask yourself to get clear on these first principles that you personally live by? I've created a little worksheet for you guys so you can take some time later and answer all of these questions in one place. So you can find the link for that questionnaire in the description down below. But here we go. What are some things you get most excited about? What do you feel makes life worth living? What do you believe is meaningful in life? And what do you value above all else? Now, if those are a little bit too vague and you're having a hard time answering those, you can get a little more in depth and ask yourself, what values am I never willing to compromise on? So no amount of money in the world could make you do a certain thing or stop doing a certain thing. What makes you most proud of who you are? If you had unlimited money and time, what do you suppose you would do with it? What do you truly want beneath specific goals, achievements, and labels? So an example of this might be you're someone who feels you really want fame and status, but what's beneath that is that you want to feel accepted as a valuable part of a community. You want to feel as though you have value to those around you. So those are just some examples of some questions you can ask yourself to get clear on your first principles. And if you can keep those in the back of your mind, anytime you're having a difficult time making a decision, or anytime you're lacking clarity, you can always come back to your first principles to understand what the best way for you to move forward is. What is the genuine choice that you would make that aligns best with how you aim to live your life, according to your values, first principles, and morals. Now, if you can come to answer a lot of those questions and get really clear on the answers to those questions, you will be providing yourself with the strength and resources required to move through life in the most fulfilling way that you can, according to what you know is best for you. And that's why the question is, what are your life philosophies? What are your first principles? Because it's going to be different for everyone. So it's up to you to answer these questions. And I want to warn you that a lot of times when you do your best to answer those questions on what your first principles are, a lot of stuff might come up that doesn't feel fully authentic and fully true. And that's because we have a lot of conditioning. We have a lot of beliefs that we've been fed that we ought to live by that we don't necessarily agree with. So I want you to watch out for that. If you're trying to answer those prompting questions on what your first principles are, and you say something that you catch yourself thinking, do I really feel that way? Pay close attention to that and be sure to feel fully aligned with your answers to know that that actually is how you truly feel. Chew on them a little bit, digest them, and be confident in what you feel your first principles are before you go ahead and try to use them as a guide for the way that you live your life. And another thing I'll say on this is that these don't need to be rigid. Oftentimes it can feel difficult to mentally make a change in something as fundamental as a principle that we live our life by, because that means that we've been making a mistake all those years that we've been living by a certain principle. But this is the nature of life. You live, you grow, you develop, and you learn. So sometimes you recognize you had a certain rule that you were abiding by in the way that you lived your life. You believed in certain principles, and now you've come to question it a little more. And you realize that maybe that's not actually the best way for me to live my life, and that's okay. The nature of life is one of growth, development, and expansion. They who have never contradicted themselves are they who don't think nearly deep enough. All right, guys, that's it for today's video. If you liked it, be sure to subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and be sure to check out the links in the description below for a free coaching call if you'd like to take me up on that, as well as a free life audit workbook. It's a fantastic resource. I personally use one, and if you're trying to get more clarity in life, that is a great resource for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.